Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Dominion set to take a look at, and this time we've got ourselves the Copter Combat pack. This is a set that has been showing up at Walmarts across the United States, and was a little tricky to get a hold of as it's been out for a few weeks and I didn't see it at all, but now luckily it did just show up at a nearby Walmart, so here we are. I really love the packaging for this. It has such a really cool image here of obviously our Rajasaurus here on the front of the box, and it is super awesome looking. Definitely a kind of like a combat, obviously Copter Combat pack, but a combat scene here with the helicopter and Kayla sort of attacking our very cool looking Rajasaurus. And you also can see that we have like a window area here that shows the Rajasaurus as far as the head, and then Kayla in there. And then we also have an area up here in the back where we can push the button and kind of try out our Rajasaurus a little early. But then as we turn it around and take a look here at the back of the packaging, you can see again kind of some stuff that is going on there as far as destruction on the helicopter, and you can also see the Rajasaurus and the fact that we can shoot from the helicopter, which is pretty darn cool. And then down here you can also see that we have the Allosaurus also that has been released by Mattel and is also at Walmart. So let's pop this very cool looking box open and check it out. So some assembly is required as we've got all sorts of stuff here, including our Rajasaurus to put together. So we're going to go ahead, throw all this stuff together, and then check it out when it's completed. So we've got everything put together and looking honestly really cool. First of all, the helicopter instantly became one of my favorite Mattel Jurassic World vehicles that they've released. Like, this thing is insanely cool, and I love the Biosyn logo and everything there on the side. Kayla is almost exactly the same figure as the one that we had in the Pyroraptor set. In fact, it is incredibly close to the same figure. There's just like the slightest difference. And the Rajasaurus is pretty cool, but it's not the best version we've had. I still think the first version that we had is probably the best. That's my personal opinion. Not everyone's going to share that opinion, of course, but it is still a really cool looking one, but it would have looked a lot nicer had there been more color leading out past the hip region into the tail. But definitely, again, a really cool set overall, so let's jump straight to a closer look at all of this right now. Now we'll begin with what is probably the coolest part of the set overall, and that would be the helicopter, which is shocking to me. I didn't expect this to be my favorite part, but it definitely is. So you can see straight away, as far as the detailing aspect of the helicopter goes, it is really nicely done, very highly detailed, honestly, and has some very nice paintwork to it. As you can see, we have a really nice bright whitish tone for the color of the helicopter. You can also see that we again have that really nice Biosyn Genetics logo here on the side, and then we also have like some beautiful black trim and stuff around the windows and out here in the front of our helicopter. It's kind of big, so it's hard to really get a good view of it, and very nice overall. And you can see here, if we look inside, if it doesn't take out the camera, that is, you can see the seat and everything in there, but we're going to go ahead and get a better look in there very soon. You can also see what the opposing side looks like. We've got some nice articulation with the helicopter. As you can see, we can swirl the blades up here on the top, which is always fun. Definitely an awesome playability factor of the set, but you can also kind of close them up, and now you can do it that way if you want, but it helps to make it a little easier to take a look at. You also have these blades out here on the side, which also articulate. This looks like there should be something here, but I tried looking in the package, and I don't know if mine's missing something, but I could not find the piece that would go there, and it really does look like there's, even on the back of the packaging, it looks like there's like a little black part that fits over that spot, but I couldn't find it in the box at all. I don't know where it went. But here on the underside, again, you also have the ability to land your helicopter, and this is more of like a dark green than the kind of like dark bluish or dark grayish coloration that we have up there. And then as you move back here, you can continue to see again just how phenomenal the helicopter looks. Everywhere you look at it, it is really nicely done, really quite high quality. You've also got that gorgeous Jurassic logo out there on the end of the helicopter. And then again, the helicopter also has lots of playability to it, because the Rajasaurus clearly is attacking it, so we would like to have some sort of dino damage to it. You've got this little button over here to push, and off comes the door. So now our Rajasaurus has completely broken open the door. You've got a nice look here at the chair and the seat and everything on the inside. You can also see that we have a weapon over there on the opposing side. You can also pull these off which might take a little elbow grease to do it, but they do come off. There we go. And again, causing more damage to the vehicle, more damage to the helicopter, which is a really, really fun aspect of this because you can just continue to, again, destroy it as you go. But it doesn't just end there because you can also pull the front off, and then you've got a nice view of the inside, even better there. You can also see the controls and everything up there. Unfortunately, there's not like a sticker or anything, which would have been nice, but that doesn't have that. We also have this area over here, which you can pull open, and then once you open it, you then have a gun to fire at your Rajasaurus, and you can see there is kind of like a missile type thing included in there, which we will shoot here when we get down from up here. And also this piece would come off, and they just kind of pop right back on. Actually, I'm not in the right spot, so you just pop that right back on there, and then it's back together. So the helicopter is absolutely awesome. Everything goes back on really easily as well, making it very quick to kind of put back together and prepare for your Rajasaurus to go again for a round 2 versus the helicopter. So the Kayla figure is very, very close to being the same figure that we had. Sculpt-wise, it's exactly the same. Coloration-wise, that's the only really big difference that we have. First of all, the gloves are brown, and if you take a look at the original release, we have blue gloves. The hair is also slightly different as far as the blonde tone for the lower part of her hair. It's a lot more vibrant on the Pyroraptor version. You also have this kind of light coloration, that light yellow that follows the outer edge of her jacket, and then up there in the back, and you can see we don't have that on the newer one. But other than that, I feel like everything looks pretty much the same as it did the first time around. And then our Rajasaurus, of course, sculpt-wise, exactly the same as the previously released figure. We only need to take a look at what's different on this one coloration-wise, because that's the only difference between this and the original release. So you can see we have a gorgeous greenish tone for the majority of the body, which I absolutely love the greenish tone that they've given this figure. We also have this really nice dark, like blackish tone there running down into the face, around the eye socket, up into the snout and the palate area, which looks really neat. And I really like that coloration. I think it looks beautiful the way it's applied, very nice and natural as well. There's a really strong gloss coat that they've added to the face though, which they tend to do at times, but I actually think it looks pretty nice on this figure. Definitely makes it stand out as far as that coloration goes. You also have a nice yellow eye with a black pupil, kind of a slit-like pupil, and the eye is placed pretty nicely. As you lead up here, you can see more of that dark brown kind of splotching around up here on the top of the head. You also have kind of a light yellow for the lower jaw. That light yellow runs down here into the throat quite briefly before disappearing entirely, and then we don't have any more of that through the entire underside of the figure. The inside of the mouth sports a nice pinkish tone, beautiful gloss coat in there as well, and you also have some really nicely painted teeth with kind of an off-white, which looks pretty good. And then you can see what the coloration looks like. Pretty much the same, probably slightly different as far as the design goes on this side compared to the initial side, but the eye placement is also quite nice over here. And then as you lead back here into the neck, you see those large ridges that kind of run along the back of the neck of the dinosaur, and you kind of have like that greenish tone and the brownish tone sort of combining and just designing and splotching back and forth, and that keeps happening until you reach about the mid-back area, and you can see how neat it looks. It would have looked really cool if they continued that coloration the rest of the way out. I think this would have been a phenomenal repaint of the Rajasaurus, and probably the best version that we had. You can also see the arms are entirely that brownish tone. No painted nails specifically. You can see the feet definitely don't have any painted nails. The nails on the fingers are dark because they're just the same brown that we have there. You can also see that we have sort of like some slices or injuries, or like a fairly weak attempt at making it look like that. And then we have like those reddish slices over here. No real sculpting as far as those injuries, just paint on the figure. Similar to like the old Super Colossal T-Rex, the sound version that was available at Walmart. It was like the battle damage version that kind of had like those paint slices on it. We have that same thing here for the Rajasaurus. Outside of that, though, the only other thing that we can see on this figure is a speckling. It's kind of like a dark blue speckling that does show up through the entire figure. You can see it's really quite abundant here on the underside. And aside from that, though, there's really nothing else going on with it. There's the Jurassic Facts app code that you could add this figure to your collection. And definitely a really nice looking repaint for the first half of the figure. Then it gets really lazy for the second half, which is a bummer because it could have looked so much cooler if they continued that brown through the entire figure. Still not terrible, though. As far as the articulation on the Rajasaurus, it's the same as it was last time, where we have the articulated jaw. You also have the neck articulation, arm articulation forward and back and out away from the body. Leg articulation forward and back. Also, no, actually not really out away from the body. I couldn't remember if it did that or not. And then you have a swivel tail, but that's kind of pointless. We also have the action feature, just like we had previously. That is our third version now of the Rajasaurus. We have Kayla as far as her articulation goes. We've got the neck articulation. You also have shoulder articulation out away from the body. Can also go up, can entirely swivel all over the place if you choose to. Same deal with the elbow. You have waist articulation. Well, midsection, I should say. You've got leg articulation there in the hip, out away from the body, also in the knee. And that's really about it for Kayla. Nothing else going on there. And then as far as the action feature here with our helicopter goes, like I said, we can pop this door open. We've got ourselves, actually, let's get these guys over here. And then we've got a little button right here where we can shoot our Rajasaurus. And you saw that went flying quite nicely. And you actually have an extra, which is way back here, but we've got an extra missile as well, which is always good, especially if you end up losing one, because they do come out pretty quickly, so there's a good chance that you could very well easily lose one if it happens to fly behind a couch or something somewhere. But that's definitely a pretty fun aspect of the set. Very cool as far as playability goes. As far as the size goes, I think the only thing we really need to measure with this set would be the helicopter. So lengthwise for the helicopter, you're looking at about 12 inches or around 30 centimeters, maybe 30 and a half centimeters. And height-wise to the top of the blades here, just shy of 6 inches or around 15 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Back Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our really cool Copter Combat set. And you can definitely see roughly what the size is, but I would imagine you probably already had a pretty good idea of the size, especially since the Rajasaurus sculpt has been out since the beginning of Dominion, and it's right there in the same size range as all the other previous, like Roarovores, Roar Striker type figures. So you'll already have a pretty good idea roughly of what the size is, just based on this helicopter next to that figure, but if not, then hopefully these figures here will help you out a little. So this brand new Copter Combat set is definitely another fun one from Mattel. Again, there's a lot to enjoy about this set. We've got an awesome Kayla figure, so we've got our pilot Kayla for the helicopter, which of course would be the perfect character to put into the helicopter. That's the one you would want, would be Kayla, and the Kayla figure is quite beautiful. It's a little bit less exciting compared to the Pyroraptor version, just because there was a little bit more paintwork to the Pyroraptor version, but it's still a pretty fun variant, you know, that slight variant compared to the other one. I'm happy to at least see there is a little bit of difference between the two. The helicopter is absolutely awesome. Like, it is an incredibly cool vehicle for the Jurassic World Dominion line, and definitely one of the best I think that Mattel has made yet. Some really cool features to it as far as like battle damage and stuff to the helicopter. I also love the articulation that we have as far as the blades, and you've also got the ability to kind of pull that door down there and open fire on your Rajasaurus with some pretty fun missiles. So definitely a lot of really cool action features to the helicopter, and of course the ability to kind of like rip pieces off of it definitely has a lot of awesome play to it if you are buying this for your kid. They're definitely going to love it if they're dinosaur fans, especially Jurassic World fans. And the Rajasaurus as well is really quite nice. It's not as nice as it could be, and I feel like the Rajasaurus is one figure that Mattel just does not want to paint the second half of. I don't think that this figure will ever get that kind of treatment, because it seems like every time we get it, we only get the first half of the figure painted. But the coloration that we have is really quite nice. The greenish tones are beautiful on this, and I like how it plays off of the brown, and the brown again looks really neat the way it's applied, very nicely with an airbrush. It would have looked so much cooler if we had run that brown all the way out there through the tail, but unfortunately we did not. So as per usual, it could use more paint, but it does still look quite cool. So as a whole, this is definitely a really fun set that I highly recommend picking up. So make sure you head to your local Walmart right now, and hopefully if it's not there now, it will be soon, so you can grab it and include this into your collection. So make sure you do that, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.